they were bad. I'm going to start the video by saying that. Vancouver Canucks, for what they are right now, they're so far ahead of what they were back then. Yeah, it's not even close. And I say that with a heavy heart. 76-77 it started. So 75-76 they had 81 points, and that was after 75-76 they won their division, they had 86 points. Vancouver was a very respectable team. Hardworking, not the most talented, never the most talented, but they worked hard. They played a good team game. They had solid goaltending from Gary Smith for a while there before things went south with Gary Smith. But Vancouver hit a rut in 76-77 that went on for a while. People often ask me, well, why do you cheer for more than one team? I had years of this. When I came into watching hockey, it was the 80-81 season. They'd had 4 miserable seasons before that. They had 76 points. The year they got to the Stanley Cup final, they only had 77 points in 80 games. Now, with shootout losses and overtime losses and the way that the game's played now, this team probably would have had about 90 points. I'm just being honest, because look at all the ties they were putting up. 17 in 81-82, 15 in 82-83, 9, 9, 13, 8, 9, 8, 14, 9. Number of ties that, if they go the right way, Vancouver, with the way the game's played now, would have had a winning record. But they never had a winning record. I didn't have the consolation of the shootout overtime win and just that skewing of the standings, so that you look and go, well, we finished above 500 this year. Vancouver was colossally bad, but what was worse for Vancouver was, you notice the asterisks here? Those are the years they made the playoffs. They had 59 points in 85-86 and they made the playoffs. People complain now about, oh, this team shouldn't make the playoffs because they're 2 points behind this team that's going to miss. Are you kidding me? 59 points in 85-86 got the Canucks into the playoffs. It was 16 out of 21 teams, and yet one of those 5 teams, I guarantee, had more than 59 points. Hockey had, the NHL had a balanced schedule for 79-80 and 80-81. Vancouver played Philly in the first round in 1980 and got killed. They played Buffalo in the first round in 1981 and got slaughtered. And then 82 happened and they got to the finals. There was some luck along the way. But what 82 did was it hid the fact that the Canucks were a subpar team. It gave fans a sense of, hey, we're on our way up. And they weren't. They fell back in 82-83 to 75 points. They fell down to 73 the following season, even though they had 32 wins, which was higher than any previous season. But then they dropped to 25 wins, 23 wins, up to 29, back to 23. And then something interesting happened in 88-89. They made the playoffs, and they challenged the Flames. They took them to 7 games, overtime in Game 7. And again, it led us to believe, hey, the Canucks are on their way up. This is going to be great. I remember I got a Canucks sweatshirt, and I was all excited because I was going to wear the sweatshirt every time they won. That was the agreement I made, and I told people in my class that. Every time the Canucks win, I'm wearing that sweatshirt. They won 25 games the following season. And I guarantee that they didn't play just on days when I was going to school the next day. So, yeah, that sweatshirt was in pretty good shape when I graduated. 90-91, they had 65 points. And this is where it gets interesting, because in 90-91, at the deadline, they made a big move. They went out, they got Ronning, they got Courtnall, they got Robert Dirk. They brought in some decent guys. And really, honestly, I believed they were going to turn it around. I was like, this team's going to turn it around. They're going to be a winning team next year. And I was met with a lot of laughter. There were a lot of people that said, you're crazy. The Canucks are never going to have a winning record. This is not going to happen. They'll never do it. Because we had seen a decade and a half of just horrible hockey. This is why when people talk about this jersey and this logo, and they talk about this great tradition for the Canucks, are you sure? Because this logo came in 79-80. It's 12 seasons of wearing this logo in some form, whether it's on the sleeves because they had the V's or whatever form it was in. They were horrible. There's a reason I ordered this magazine. The Lindy 500. Trevor Linden's race to end Vancouver's 15-year losing streak. 15 years. of losing for the Vancouver Canucks. So I'm going to do what I do with these magazines. I'm going to go ahead and read what Mike Beamish wrote back in 1991. This was, what day was this? November 1st, 1991. So this is a month into the 91-92 season. Quick, somebody alert the Eastern media. Wake up, you guys. The Vancouver Canucks, heretofore known as the blandest, losingest team in North American pro sports, have gone weird on us. They're entertaining, they're winning. They're close to first place, the Vancouver Canucks. Imagine that. Sure, I know, you're rolling your eyes. It's hard to imagine the Canucks remaining there for long, right? But then again, why not? If the Minnesota Twins and Atlanta Braves can go from worst to first, if the Minnesota North Stars can reach the Stanley Cup Finals, if the New Orleans Saints can lead the National Football League, if the Seattle Mariners can finish over 500, if Columbia University can win a U.S. college football game, oh, I remember that. I remember the long losing streak. If Gino Odjick can score on a penalty shot, hold on to your helmets, but add another one to the great sporting truths is about to come crashing down. The Canucks have not only become a decent team, they led the Smythe Division with 13 points after 8 games. 3 more than last year's division champion Los Angeles Kings. What's more, they're playing as if they should be. Great starts don't mean you're the Oilers, Rangers, Bruins, or Canadians, but this is the Canucks, remember? 15 straight losing seasons, 2 winning seasons in 21 years. Never had a player score 50 goals or 100 points. Never had an all-star selection or an individual trophy winner. Lousy management, ill-considered trades, bad karma, mediocre teams. It's possible that might be becoming a bad memory. This could be the team of the 90s in the Smythe Division. Clearly, they're the team of October 1991. Vancouver fans have learned to be skeptical, so when the Canucks got off to the best start in their history, 5-1-0, the first inclination was to say, who have they beaten? San Jose twice, Winnipeg, Toronto, and Buffalo. But when the team tied Boston 3-3, October 17th, Bruin goalie Matt DelGiudice made more saves than Billy Graham and whipped Calgary 5-2 October 9th. And when they whipped Calgary 5-2, things got out of hand. New Canuck fans were running to catch up to the bandwagon. The Canucks are doing things they haven't in the past, scoring clutch goals, playing a disciplined game, getting stand-on-your-head goalkeeping from Kirk McLean, and receiving quality leadership from Captain Trevor Linden. Trevor Linden, 21 years old, may hold the key to a successful season. Second overall pick in 1988, Linden signed the most lucrative contract in franchise history. 4 years at $3.7 million. That's almost $1 million a year. That's insane. With the understanding he's the central figure in the Canucks' future, until Messier arrives. On the ice, that is. Off the ice, it's the omnipotent Pat Quinn, the man who has assembled the best Canucks team since 1982, the year Vancouver made an improbable run to the Stanley Cup Finals. Quinn is demolishing the Canucks' hard-earned reputation as losers. We've always taken solace in the fact we played good games against teams like Calgary, even if we didn't usually win them. That's not good enough anymore. People are making a big thing about our start, but we really have no reason to be cocky, said Quinn. Vancouver's a franchise that's never known glory years, only a few glory weeks. The Canucks never won a playoff series, other than in the spring of '82, when they went out 4 straight to the Islanders in the final. And that's true. Other than that year, in 1982, this was the only year the Canucks ever won a series, before Linden showed up and the boys turned it around in 91-92. They had never won a series in 21 years, other than that one season. Every year they made the playoffs on here, yeah, they were out in the first round. Just sad. The Canucks' regular season record that year, 33-17, was still on the minus side, and every team Vancouver defeated in the playoffs finished with fewer points. It was a fluke, plain and simple. There it is in writing. Something that I've said and I've made peace with and I'm not happy about, but it's true. Vancouver's only winning seasons came in 74-75, 75-76. But put an asterisk there, Washington and Kansas City, the latter joining Vancouver in the Smythe Division, entered the league in 1974. It was an easy time for the Canucks to fatten their record at the expense of weak expansion teams. The addition of San Jose in the Smythe, the Canucks play San Jose 7 times, almost guarantees Vancouver will be 10 to 12 points better this season. Making the playoffs shouldn't be a problem. Canucks management is strong after a period of instability. Hiring Quinn 4 years ago was one of Arthur Griffith's most sensible moves. Quinn was not the first choice. Several top hockey men turned down the job, and the team's progress has been painstakingly slow. The Canucks finished with 59, 74, 64, and 75 points in Quinn's first 4 seasons. There was a song on, I want to say it was LG73, where they took the song Mighty Quinn and they changed it to throw out your... I'm trying to remember the first part of it. Try to keep the puck out, but it keeps going in. We can't play much better for this coach named Quinn. Throw out your left, throw out your right. We can't play hockey, so let's start a fight. And then Nedved's playing with left winger Greg Adams. Last season, he had only 16 points in 61 games. Last season, the Canucks used 10 rookies. This year, there's none. And veterans Ryan Walter, Dave Babich, and Randy Gregg were added over the summer. And when Randy Gregg was added, I laughed. And I've talked about this before, but I might as well throw it in again in this video. Randy Gregg was waived by the Oilers. And Randy Gregg sent out a memo to every NHL team. Don't pick me up on waivers. I've got my doctor practice, and the Oilers are waiving me, and I want to be an Oiler, and I'm coming back to Edmonton. I'm not playing anywhere else. So Pat Quinn went, all right, and he grabbed him on waivers. And it was a running joke that they grabbed Randy Gregg on waivers because he didn't want to play anywhere but Edmonton, and he made that clear. So he didn't report right away. But he eventually did, and Randy Gregg was one of those guys you don't hear about who helped turn this team around. So the season after this one, the Canucks finished with 96 points. They improved by 31 points by the end of the season I'm reading about in that magazine. Nobody took that hot start seriously. Nobody thought they were that good. And then the following season, they had 101 points. But this is why I cheer for underdogs, and this is why, when I was a kid, I found more than one team to cheer for. Because this will depress any kid. This is a record that is just abysmal, and this is why I feel for Arizona, and I feel for Buffalo, and I feel for Carolina's streak of not making the playoffs. Because under today's situation, even though the Canucks would have had points from overtime wins and shootout wins, this team doesn't make the playoffs. At all. This whole 15 years, I don't think the Canucks, with what they had in that roster, would have made the playoffs at all. They might have made it once or twice in the middle here. I would think maybe 82 and 83, maybe 81. But in 81, they only had 28 wins. So I don't know. They wouldn't have had the wins tiebreaker. And even 82 and 83, they only had 30. So that's why I am a Canuck fan. I cheer for these guys. But I did find other teams to cheer for because sometimes it just got too upsetting to cheer for this alone. This is not inspired by what's going on now either. It's just, I got that magazine and I thought it was an interesting topic because there's a lot of people on this channel who wouldn't have been around back then, and maybe you don't look that far back in the records and see just how bad it was. And as bad as this looks, it was worse than that. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, and I'll talk to you again soon.